Welcome to Suburban DIY. My name is Rich. I've helped thousands of viewers save money and achieve great satisfaction through entertaining and informative videos. If you desire to DIY, watch this video to the end, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you can join us on this wicked fun and incredible journey. Let's get into it. The things that you'll learn in this video is how I transformed from having no skills to having the confidence to tackle any do-it-yourself project. We'll talk about the scary truth of DIY. Spoiler alert, it's not scary. We're going to talk about paradigm shift and about dispelling the myths. We're going to talk about not being afraid to fail and overcoming negativity. Then we're going to chat about typical obstacles that get in the way that lead to disenchantment. Things like motivation, confidence, and what I call false pressure. Then we'll review some resources, but really the resources is how to engage the resources to get the best information for you to begin tackling your DIY project. YouTube is a powerful platform for DIYers. I've been a beneficiary of all types of educational how-to videos and what I call journey channels. My inspiration for my journey began several years ago when we were experiencing challenges with the barbecue grill. Yes, the grill. It's a built-in unit from the previous owner. It was at least 15 years old. I had to compensate the way I grilled food due to the uneven burners. I was getting wicked frustrated with cooking on one side of the grill, then moving the food to the other side just to achieve the desired outcome. It was way more work managing the process than it was worth. Our first thought was to simply replace the grill, so we began searching. The quantity of styles and features are overwhelming. The most surprising thing, however, was the price. They range anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. Really, seriously? $10,000? And that didn't even include installation. It was pretty deflating. That's when I turned to YouTube to see if I could fix it. Wouldn't you know, I learned I just needed to clean the unit and replace the burners and the ceramic briquettes. In just a few minutes, I found the replacement parts on Amazon and I made the purchase. Only $75. They showed up a few days later, and after only a few minutes of work, the grill performed like new. What a huge difference. $75 versus thousands of dollars for a replacement. Really? Yeah. I became wicked motivated to tackle many other DIY projects. I live in the low desert of Phoenix, Arizona. I had a lawnmower that was difficult to start and it performed poorly. Yes, we had grass in the desert. I watched a few videos, purchased some parts, cleaned it, and bang, it started on the very first pull. I was totally hooked. I was inspired by a neighbor to construct a food forest in my tiny backyard. Today we have 3 raised garden beds and 26 food-bearing trees in less than a tenth of an acre. After a rough design on the back of a napkin, I took inventory of tools, shovels, wheelbarrows, rakes, things like that. I was surprised to learn I had 6 freaking shovels, multiple rakes, several other long pole landscaping tools. I also had 4 pruning shears and 2 bypass loppers. What the? The reason I had so many was because every time something was wrong with the tool, I went to the local hardware store and bought a new one. Ugh. With the confidence I gained from fixing the grill and the lawnmower, I engaged YouTube and learned how to fix all the landscaping tools. And it too was so simple. I've not purchased a new landscape tool in over 5 years. In fact, I've restored over 24 tools like shovels. I've saved tons of money, and equally important, it has been hugely self-satisfying. I filmed all the projects and started this YouTube channel. Hello, welcome to Suburban DIY. My name is Rich. You'll see we've got all of these long pole tools. Check out the Fixing Cool Things playlist. Link is in the description below. My journey to DIY enlightenment accelerated. It really solidified when I began building the food forest. I sought design inspiration from systems like feng shui, which is a system of spatial arrangement and orientation in relation to the flow of energy. Kind of cool. Actually, it was wicked interesting. It enabled confidence and creativity. But I didn't stop there. I further learned that in order to have a thriving food forest in the desert, you need to address climate issues, specifically the year round dry air and, of course, the brutal hot summers. I learned how to build a microclimate, specifically regulating the moisture and temperature through three remedies: ground cover, wall cover, and shade from the western sun. Fast forward a few years, we now have a thriving ecosystem that requires less watering, produces an abundance of food. There are almost no bad insects and has attracted awesome wildlife. Check out the Desert Garden and Food Forest playlist. Again, description. The link is in the description below. I also got creative and built our own backyard stuff from repurposed materials. We made a potting station, an arbor bench, and a caddy shack to house our outdoor toys and games. I made grape boxes and much more. Check out the Making Cool Things playlist. Here's the scary truth about DIY: it's neither hard nor dangerous. In addition, it's not beneath you. That's a complete myth. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Labor based work provides a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. As Admiral William H. McRaven said in his incredible 2014 University of Texas commencement speech, if you want to change the world, make your bed. Check it out, it's super motivating. DIY is about the desire and knowledge. It's a paradigm shift. And like many things in our lives, typically the hardest thing about DIY is just getting started. I have a full time job and growing and caring for a family. How would I ever find the time? It was easy to hire a handyman, just like shopping at the grocery store. However, it was costly, required my time to manage the project through deciding on who to hire, conducting schedules or coordinating rather schedules and then inspections of the work, and even paying more bills was becoming cumbersome. The projects often resulted in poor craftsmanship, it lacked creativity, and most importantly, it simply was not rewarding. I started asking myself why. There has got to be a better way. I would love to tell you that I had the thoughtfulness to develop and document an executable life plan that would result in increased fulfillment and happiness. Not that I was sad, rather, that was just not practical. I was in the mindset that I had to work harder to make more money to advance our quality of life. My DIY transformation has provided me a new perspective. My paradigm continues to evolve, and that in itself is super rewarding. Today, I'm having more fun, spending more time with the family, doing some traveling, and even increasing my income, right? Nice. Looking back at my journey, I recall the obstacles. Most notably was motivation, confidence, and false pressure. It's not that I wasn't motivated to do something, rather, it's that I didn't know where and how to start. The key learning: just begin. I know this sounds cliche, but allow me to elaborate. When I started, I lacked skills and knowledge. I was catching myself doing a ton of research and planning just to feel comfortable that I had a shot at doing it right. It was actually demotivating. I ran into analysis paralysis. Sometimes I would not even attempt to initiate a project because I knew it would take me a lot of time just to get into position to begin doing the work. I learned that there is no wrong answer. There is no wrong way of doing things. Again, the key is to just begin. As time went on, I could see my confidence growing. I began accelerating both the quantity and the quality of projects. I learned how to use the tools that I had rather than thinking I need to buy new ones. I also learned that the result of my DIY projects was yielding better outcomes, meaning I was not settling for good enough. My suburban landscape is fully irrigated with 20-plus-year-old 3 drip line system. It was constantly bursting everywhere. Today's project, more irrigation problems. Sure, I could have hired a company to redo all my lines, but wow, the process and the time to even hire, and don't even talk to me about the money to replace those lines, that none of that was an option. So I learned. My first few fixes took quite a lot of time. Today, however, my confidence is so high that I not only fix broken irrigation lines in 10 minutes, I now replace sections or lengths of those irrigation lines in less than 30 minutes. Check out the Fixing Cool Things playlist. Another big obstacle is what I call false pressure. In other words, time to completion. I would put unrealistic pressure on myself to get things done within a specific time frame, be it duration, like setting a time limit, like, hey, I've got an hour to be able to do this, or you know what, I'm going to do it and get it done on Saturday. I found myself making poor decisions and even letting go of creativity. I would catch myself saying, I don't need safety glasses or gloves because I just need to get it done. Yes, I've got a bunch of scratches from foregoing safety for time. Just a wicked, stupid thing to do. An example of where it really came to light was when I was building that caddy shack from the reclaimed materials to house my outdoor toys and games. Things like golf putters, bocce balls, frisbees, bucket ball, whole bunch of other stuff. They were lying around outside or in the garage. It looked like crap. They were getting beat up by the elements, and I was tripping over them. When I had the caddy shack assembled and it was time to stain, I had a short window to get the staining done. I use wood stains that contain drying oils, typical type stuff that you would get at the hardware store. I knew that oil stained rags needed to be handled correctly or they can spontaneously combust through an oxidation reaction. But I had put false pressure on getting it done before I had a family event I needed to get to. Because I was focused on speed, I neglected to dispose of the rags appropriately. So while I'm at the family event, I get this phone call from my neighbor. She says, "Everything is all right, Rich." She said, "Yeah, she's got a nice accent. It's awesome. The fire department was here, and the neighbors put out the fire." And I'm like, "What? Right? What are you talking about?" So what happened was I threw the oil-soaked rags into the garbage container. They spontaneously combusted and it lit the trash can or trash container on fire. It also melted the recycling container, which was right next to it. The neighbors saw the black smoke. They called the fire department. Then they grabbed their water hoses and they put out the fire. Thank God for good neighbors. Thankfully, they were up against the wall, meaning the containers were against the wall about 10 feet away from the house. So when I got home and realized what I had done, I went to each neighbor and I personally thanked them for their help. I then called the city of Phoenix to get the containers replaced. I was instructed to put the damaged containers out front for pickup when they deliver the replacements. Check out the Caddyshack video in the Making Cool Things playlist. You'll see just how pathetic and how embarrassing dragging these melted pieces of plastics that had landscaping rock infused in them, dragging it out to the front of the street. Oh my God, it's so funny. Anyway, it could have been much worse, and I laugh now, but at the time it was wicked scary. The net, don't fall into the trap of thinking you need to do something to get something done within a certain time frame. Take your time. Do it right, do it well, do it safely. Don't put false pressure on yourself because it's just going to allow for mistakes that can be really, really costly. Learn from me. Start small. Watch some of my videos and how I do things. You don't need to be professionally trained, just be smart about the approach. You don't need the latest and the greatest tool. Find a way to use what you have. DIY is not a competition. Run with what you brung. Give yourself the time to complete the project and know that it's okay if it takes longer than anticipated, which, by the way, they almost all do. When you're searching for a topic, let's say it's in YouTube or Google, whatever you're using, maybe an AI engine, whatever you're using, try to be specific. I still get negative comments on my videos because viewers sometimes have the wrong expectations. For example, they search for things like bench grinder with the intent of having a product review or a step by step installation instructions. Well, my videos are typically more about how I will use the product in an application or DIY project rather than a review. You can avoid this by being more specific in your prompt. For instance, instead of just saying bench grinder, say how to install a new DeWalt bench grinder. The more specific, the more accurate it'll be what you're looking for. By the way, if you're curious about power tools, check out the power tools playlist. Another consideration for DIY resources is whether the video is specific, like is it a how-to video versus a channel about their DIY journey. I subscribe to a lot of those. It's also the type of work that I like to do. So it's a lot of different topics and a lot of things that we're working on, different types of projects. In other words, I try to cover both. We learned about the transformation journey. We chatted about the scary truth of DIY, right? It's not scary, it's a mindset. We talked about the obstacles and how to overcome them. And we talked about how best to engage resources to do the research that you're looking for on your DIY project. You've got this. Begin today. Take your time, save money, and achieve great satisfaction. If you get stuck or have a question, write a comment to me. It doesn't even matter what video, it could be this one. I do my best to respond quickly with value. Also, let us know what DIY project you're currently working on, or if you have any specific requests for a DIY project. Often when we get requests, we drop it into the queue and we get right on it. If you haven't done so already, click subscribe and the notification bell so you can join the family of awesome, fun DIYers. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching this video. And thanks for all your comments. Look forward to seeing you on our next video.